Good morning, evening, afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 5th episode of the Bicker Bunch. As usual, we are 4 people that sit around and like to talk, except for this time, we have someone new. Mine and Nick's father and James' father-in-law, Papa Grape, has joined us.
Hello.
And this week, we'll be talking about Jeff Bezos in space. We'll be talking about shitty parents, and we will be talking about marriage, because it's bullshit. So let's start off. Brandon.
The shitty parents part's just coincidence. It's not.
It's not because we have Papa Grape on.
No, there's no relation. All right, Brandon, start off with Bezos in space.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, as everyone might know by now, I used to work for Amazon, so it makes me very happy that Jeff Bezos is going to space and getting far away from everyone. That dude freaks me out. I mean, he's a genius, but he freaks me out.
He's like ridiculously jacked now too.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, he divorced his wife, got a mistress, and got jacked. Now he's terrifying. Especially now that he's like completely bald and jacked, but not good looking. It's like a really weird combination.
It's called money makes you good looking.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. If you have enough money, anyone will sleep with you. But yeah, like I saw that was the Blue Horizon, right?
He's taking his brother with him too.
Yeah, that was weird. Imagine being Jeff Bezos' brother though. Like,
it's got to be fantastic. He's probably like uber rich and he doesn't do shit.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe he does a lot. Anyone actually look him up?
No, I didn't.
He probably works in a parts department.
With his TV dinners.
And small condoms.
No, I mean, the people I feel really bad for are the people that are working on that mission now. Like, you imagine the pressure. Like, it was already bad enough you're sending people into space for the first time. Now you're sending like the world's richest guy and his brother.
Yeah, don't blow it up, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, you're immediately going to be out of a job if anything happens.
That's just got to be a ballsy move to actually I would love to go to space sometime, but I don't want to be the first person to do a pleasure trip to space.
I want to be like the millionth person to go to space.
Yeah,
once
right.
Everyone else has already died.
Yeah, I kind of want the shit figured out before I go up there.
I wonder if something did happen and it blew up or something. Like Amazon, I wonder what their stocks are gonna do. Just tank,
well, he's
right?
not the CEO anymore.
Yeah, he's just a member of the board.
He's in charge. He's in what do they call him? The chairman of the board?
No, he stepped down as the chairman.
Yeah.
He's just a member now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he just backed it out.
I'm pretty sure
totally.
it still affects something.
He passed the CEO job to the AWS head, I think.
Yeah, Andrew Jassy.
Yeah.
Jassy or whatever. Yeah, AWS is the money maker anyways. Like,
yeah,
Amazon business, I mean, it makes a lot of money, but AWS is where the real money's at.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the first time this rocket has flown, too?
I think it's been unmanned, but I think this is the first, official manned mission into space.
Yeah. I don't know.
Somebody's got to do it.
Ballsy move, Bezos.
One giant leap, right?
But he's a ballsy dude. I mean,
at a certain point, if you have that much money, you've probably done everything you could possibly think of, and you're like, might as well go to space.
It's like, why skydive? I'll just fucking go to Mars.
Yeah, at least if I blow up, it'll make the news.
Yeah, it'll be fun for a minute.
They won't have to look for my body.
Like, oh my god,
that might actually be like the most televised television event in history. Just waiting to see if Jeff Bezos is going to blow up. It'd be like people watching a NASCAR race. Like, most people don't watch NASCAR races to watch the race. They watch it for the wrecks.
You gotta think about it. True. Like, not even Elon Musk gets in those things. He's like, no. Get some dude who was raised in the freaking Midwest, put a Bible under his arm, get on that rocket. And he gets on that rocket. He's like, yeah, and shoots off into space. And he's like, I'm not doing that right now.
Yeah, right.
And he has a SpaceX. No?
Yeah, I was going to say, he owns a space company that flies more missions than NASA does now.
They've got that down now. It's almost boring.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
the first time they landed the rocket, it was cool, but now it's just like, you did it again.
They do it.
That's
they
still
do it 3 times a week.
I don't know.
I did like it was a couple months ago where they landed and then blew up, and then Elon was like, "Congratulations on a successful mission." Everyone's like, "They blew up. It's successful." But they landed first. It's like,
and then they blew up.
All right.
Yeah.
It's
Elon
your money.
Musk, I'm telling you, Elon Musk is one government sanction away from turning all the Starlink satellites into a death ray and then just blowing us up.
I still love it. He's still like one of my favorite men of business because I honestly don't think he gives a shit. And it's cool as hell.
No, yeah, he just does whatever.
California shut down. He said, all right, we're going to Texas. They're like, it's going to cost you a lot of money to move to Texas. Like, I don't give a fuck. We're moving to Texas and we're going to build cars. I don't care. And he did.
Oh, like his
we're
tunnel?
We're going to build electric cars in a state that has no, like,
electricity at the moment.
That
time it didn't.
Well, then he also has that tunnel in L.A. They're trying to make that car tunnel.
Las Vegas.
Yeah,
That's what I meant. Las Vegas, the other L one. And they're like, this is never going to work.
Oh, yeah, he built this like whole tunnel so Tesla's
the Hyperloop.
No, the Hyperloop's different. That's like the super train that I hope actually makes it because you can travel across the country in like 10 minutes or some shit
Once
like that.
it's tested.
Yeah, that's another thing. I'm not hopping on the first train.
No, absolutely not. But they there's like this tunnel underneath Las Vegas that they built, and like Teslas are just supposed to drive around it like
But
autonomously.
super fast.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be like really quick. And then like Las Vegas put a whole bunch of laws in place and said they can't use
do
their
that.
autonomous features and they can't go above like 15 miles an hour.
And they could only have like 11 cars.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like that car ride at like
It's
every
kinda
like a par- or what do you call it?
Amusement park?
park.
Yeah.
Where like they're on a rail and they're going like super slow and then like it's the Le Mans. It's like no, it's not.
I mean, we already have subways, but now these are like individual cars that you get in
Yeah, because
instead of a subway car.
people can't give up their individual cars. I mean,
I think it's a good idea if they let them do it.
Yeah,
They're
well,
not going to do
you know,
it. That's the
government,
problem. They get
Government
in the way.
gets in the way
Yeah.
every time. I mean, we would have probably electric autonomous cars on the road by now, but government
Well, you still got to have the
they're
rear view
so
mirrors.
scared to. Well, it's like
yeah, I mean,
that's a good example in cars in Europe. Like the big one that's being built in Japan is actually used to be owned by Volvo, but now they're owned by the Chinese. Is Pulsar, and Pulsar has all cameras for your rearview mirrors. So you have a rearview mirror camera, and you can see what's behind you, and you got both sides of you, and it's cool as hell. But they will not allow that technology here. We are still. Our government is so far behind automotive technology that we're stuck.
It's
stuck
like there was a McLaren, I think the P1.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it doesn't have a back window at all. Like it's completely covered. They still have to have a rear view mirror.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
So you can just look at a
And
panel.
what's funny, I think in Europe it's actually a camera, so you can see what's behind you.
Maybe, yeah. We can have cameras for the rear view mirror, but you have to be able to turn it off and have an actual rear view mirror. And side mirrors have to be mirrors; they can't be cameras. Because like the new Volkswagen microbus, it's supposed to
come out in like 2022.
Yeah, it doesn't have rear view, or it doesn't have side mirrors, right? It just has
Sensors,
little cameras, and that's where you look at them. But in the U.S., they can't.
Stupid.
Because government,
Yeah.
government's in the way.
Red
There's
tape.
a lot of things. It took years for the government to approve airbags. It took them forever. Volvo made freaking seatbelts in the 1940s or something like that, and we didn't get them here until the freaking 60s.
Nobody wanted them.
Yeah, nobody wanted them.
Sorry.
It's like we were free.
And then when we did invent them, or when we did put them in, they're just the lap belts.
Yeah,
Like
but
that's
they
gonna do
made the
anything.
3-point harness years before we ever adopted them here in the U.S.
Yeah.
I mean, almost probably decades.
Probably.
I can't remember the exact. I think it's like 1946.
I'm telling you, man, America, the most successful third world country in existence.
It has
I
its
don't know,
days.
man.
We're doing good, but room for improvement.
I would say I think we have a little bit too much money to be considered a third world country.
Way
yeah, I
too
mean, we
much
do,
money.
but I mean,
I mean,
just
we
look
are
at,
still the richest country in the world, I think.
yeah, probably.
Hands down.
I think China's probably close, but
No, not really. I mean, they're communists. It's fake money anyway.
Well, I mean,
I mean, all money.
no,
is
no one really
if
knows.
you
all
listened
money's
to me
fake
last
money.
week, you know my opinion.
money is a concept.
Yeah,
Nothing holds value unless someone says
True.
it does.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they use stones, and I was reading an article. They had the rye stones, and they're like these giant stones or little stones that they used to trade all the time, and they still use them in like weddings and stuff. I don't remember what country it was though.
Well, I mean,
Look it up. It's like RIA stones.
I mean, it's like I mean,
I don't want to do it right now.
it's like when
Yeah, do it right now. Everyone listening, go do
it's
it.
like when
Google
Europeans showed up in America and they're like they're trying to like barter with Indians and stuff, and they're like, hey, you can take these coins.
They're like,
They're
we
like-
use puka shells.
I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with a coin?
Yeah,
What am I
right.
supposed to do with this? I can't eat it. I can't use it for anything. Like, They're like, oh no, we want stuff. Like,
how about you give me a goat or something?
Like we give you stuff and you give us other stuff. Like,
Yeah.
It's one of the things in the Revenant, the Indians or the Native Americans in the Revenant, they're trying to trade fur with the French. Revenant. I can never say it correctly.
Revenant.
It's okay. I got Colorados.
I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies. One of my
You have a lot of words like
that's beside the point. But in the movie, they're trying to trade furs just for guns and horses. That's all they wanted because they wanted to go kill other white guys. And the French were like, no, you can't have our guns because you're just going to shoot us with them, Like, no, we want your guns. That's all we want.
No,
you can't have your furs.
We promise we won't shoot you guys with them at all.
We promise.
Well, those
until we
rhinestones
see
were
you
the
next
same.
time.
Well, our money used to be based on a gold standard. We had gold to back up our money, but now we don't. The only reason a dollar is worth $1 is because we believe it is.
I mean, technically, gold's only worth gold because we say it's valuable,
Well, no,
too.
gold
Same
is
with
rare.
diamonds.
Gold's
I mean,
a finite resource, right?
Yeah.
Gold,
I guess supply and demand.
Gold-
It's basic economics.
gold actually cannot be created on Earth. All gold came from meteorite strikes. So all the gold on
Supernovas,
Earth came from meteors.
Yeah, but we
It's same
still
with
say
silver.
it's valuable.
Yeah, well, it's because there's a
Because
finite
there's-
amount of it,
right.
and there's only so much gold in the world. I think we should go to the wood standard.
Well, they can print money like crazy, so
I mean, wood.
Well, they do that,
lumber.
yeah.
Lumber is almost.
Well, that's why we have
It's
inflation.
probably worth more than gold right now.
Lumber's insane right now.
Well, that's why we have inflation right now. I was reading an article today. Everybody warned the current administration that, look, if you do this another round of stimulus, you're going to cause inflation. And they're like, well, we need to do the stimulus because they kind of handled this whole thing wrong. And I get why they did it. I don't agree with it, but it is what it is. So they did the
I don't
stimulus.
agree with it because they didn't get shit.
Yeah, me too.
Well, they did the stimulus. They gave all those people money. Now all of a sudden, what the economist said is going to happen happened. Friggin' right now, we went up 5% on inflation, which is insane. 5% inflation is a lot.
Yeah.
Automobiles, used car market went up 29%.
But you also
The house market did too, man.
Yeah, but you also got to think, like, a lot of shit happened in the past year that really fucked up all the markets.
Yes.
Not just inflation, right? Because we had, COVID shut everything down. We couldn't import stuff. We couldn't export stuff. And then as soon as we opened up, the Suez Canal got blocked. And, like, that fucked a whole bunch of shit up.
and I had a piece of granite in there for my bathroom that got stuck. That's a true story.
Yeah, so, like...
It's right next to all the children for the Himbley Crit and sex cult.
Or a bunch of livestock got stuck, right? They were worried about entire ships of livestock just dying. Because
Oh,
like,
man.
they couldn't do anything about it. And they're like, if this doesn't get on block soon, like, we're going to have a bunch of, like, dead cows and shit.
I think Evergreen's just like giving up on that shit too. Like they impounded it and they're just like, whatever. And like it's not worth the money you have to pay to get it back.
I know Egypt is, like, hammering those people for something. Like, I haven't read too much into it, but
it was like a lot, like insane amount of money. That's why they were just like, the ship's not even worth that. Like, we're not paying you for the damages to get the ship back.
yeah.
Like, it would cost us less money just to build a whole nother ship.
Yeah, that was a shit show, man. You quickly realize too how fragile our global trade system is. Like,
Absolutely.
ground to a halt because
One ship.
one ship got wedged somewhere.
Yeah, I've been through the Suez Canal, and it's not that wide, really. I went through there on an aircraft carrier, 1983, maybe.
Yeah, I never
And
went through the
it's,
Suez. I went through the Straits of
It's
Hormuz.
not that big. I mean, you can get something stuck in there pretty easy.
Oh, yeah,
you
no,
know,
no.
I mean, it's,
Man, both
it
my
was,
parents have gone through there and on carriers, and they're like, it's terrifying too because there's troops like all along each side.
guns,
It's
big
just-
guns.
Oh yeah, that's like
Like-
going through the Straits of Hormuz.
Mhm.
It's kind of
Same thing.
pretty similar. Like, it's not that big, and when you're trying to wedge a carrier in there, and then you got like Iranian fast boats with like RPGs pointed at an aircraft carrier, like it's gonna do anything. Like, you're just gonna have a bunch of pissed off bosun's mates that have to go repaint that part. That's it. Like, damn it, they scuffed it. It's funny when we were going through the Straits. I think it was the last time we went through the Straits. There's a bunch of Iranian fast boats following us, and our helos were just sitting over them, just rotor washing the shit out of their little tiny boats, and they're like pitching all over the place and freaking out. It was
People just throwing up off the side.
oh yeah, and like everyone was just up on the flight deck watching. I'm like, it's funny. Like, we're not intimidated by you at all.
That would be kind of like scary when you pull up on the speedboat and like, yeah, we're gonna shoot an RPG. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Oh, no,
Yeah,
the Iranians are hilarious. Like, because we watched this video one time of them when they were doing like this whole like big video hyping up their new submarine, this little midget submarine, and there's like 5 people standing on board, and they're like, this is like, we're gonna rule the world with this, and all the like hyping up, and it's like.
Sorry, our mother's trying to be
Mama
quiet.
Grape is.
Mama Grape's opening doors.
She really wanted some of that wine.
Mama Grape's popping a cork in the corner.
It's rather fitting, actually.
Sorry, we were talking about Iran.
Them hyping up that little midget submarine like they're gonna do, and then it's like, oh, how far can this go? Going about 5 miles off the coast. Like, can it really like do anything? No.
No.
But they got one.
Yeah, it's pretty much just a really expensive fast boat. That's all it is.
It's like they did this. Was it North Korea did the same, right? They had the North Korean submarines, and it's like, yeah, it's cute.
Is it with the guy in a bicycle like the old World War II ones?
Oh no, that was
Civil
the
War. Civil War.
Is it Civil War?
Yeah,
it's
Civil War.
The Hunley.
The Hunley. Or no, that was the
Way
Bushmills
further
Turtle.
back.
Yeah.
I mean, the Hunley was also doing Civil War.
Was that the Civil War?
Yeah, USS or it was
Wasn't it the
the
Revolution?
Confederate. Was the
Yeah,
Hunley.
there's a Confederacy.
No, Bushmills Turtle was in the Revolutionary War, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was just some dude in like a little thing, and he just pedaled it over there, and he was supposed to like drill a hole in the bottom of
Their
I think he was
boats.
Confederate, and he was supposed to drill a hole in the bottom of like a Union ship, but the Unions like plated their ship with copper on the bottom of it, so he couldn't actually drill a hole.
No, that's what they do with the Revolution. They were supposed to. I forgot what boat
It would have been
was, but-
British in the Revolution.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
No, during the Civil War was the Hunley, and they tried to. They actually attached it, and they went to detonate it, and they didn't get far enough away, and they sunk.
Yeah, they blew themselves up. That's right.
They couldn't get themselves back.
Oh, I did a boo-boo today. It was funny. We were really busy at work, like super slammed. It was just shoot, I didn't mean to do that.
God damn it! Now I gotta fucking fix that
Yeah,
later.
sorry. It was me and one of my guys I work with. One of our other guys called at 6, so we were just down. We were down to 2 guys, and it was crazy. So he sent our driver out for chicken sandwiches, preferably yummy Popeyes. Popeyes chicken sandwiches.
Papayas.
Popeyes.
Yeah, let's go to the Papayas.
Popeyes and the pizza. But I'm on beer 4. So so he
Welcome
comes
to my
back with
world.
him. Well, by the time he gets back to us, mine's cold. I'm busy. I don't get a chance to get it. So I just throw it in the microwave. Boom, boom, 30 seconds. Also, I start hearing these weird noises, and it catches on fucking fire.
You left it in the foil, you dickhead.
They had fucking foil in there. I didn't even notice it. It was quite hilarious. The whole department stunk for hours. I'm like,
You're a
it's just-
bad person.
Did your neighbors call the fire department?
I mean, do you normally like nuke stuff inside like the plastic paper that it comes in too? Like,
No, not at all. I
we already
figured,
established
why would
he's
they
single.
do that, right? I thought they would just put it in regular wrapper. You throw it in there, nuked it for 30 seconds. All of a sudden, we're like, oh shit! It was on fire.
You guys can't see, but Nick's crying right now, laughing so hard. And this is a good segue into marriage and why Nick's not.
I was gonna say this sounds like a good proud parent
I
moment.
don't know. Man.
It could actually go neither. But
Actually, I'm used to it by now.
My eldest son just blew up his apartment with a
No, it was
Popeyes
work.
wrapper.
It was not my apartment. It was work.
That's okay then.
And we're both laughing our asses off.
Because nobody wants to go back to work. So.
Me and the other guy, we're just freaking dying because I was like, oh shit, there's foil. So I quickly cancel the thing. I'm like blowing it out the fire inside the microwave.
We did that once at the Next, but it wasn't a fire. We got a smoke detector, and she wanted to play a prank on our manager, and she put it in his room and smoke a little fog machine. fills with smoke
Oh no!
in a tiny little office, and all of a sudden all the alarms were going off in the store, and she was like, oh shit, and she was like
She set the whole
trying to
store alarm off.
To any of our listeners out there,
luckily,
pranking your manager, not a good idea.
it was right before store was gonna open or whatever too, so we all had to go outside, wait for the fire department to come, but she's like blowing out the smoke out of the thing, and they just come in, shut it off, and then the manager gets to work, and he goes into his office, and he's like, smells weird in here.
Well, it's funny, right? My boss goes right behind me. He's like, dude, what'd you do to my microwave? I'm like, don't worry about it. The good thing is my sandwich did heat up and it did not catch on fire. So
I don't think you can say don't worry about it when something's caught on fire. Like, that's just not a. That's not a. Don't worry about it. It's on fire.
my job
It's got
is
that
only
charred
like
flavored.
extremely combustible chemicals all around that microwave. It's probably a bad place for them, but whatever.
Every single place I've ever worked on, we've had to, like, legitimately every fucking building, we've had to evacuate at least once because someone burnt popcorn and set the smoke alarms off.
That's true.
That's true.
We did do that one.
If
we
you
did do that
if you have
once.
never worked in an office before, do not bring popcorn or fucking fish into a microwave.
I used to,
Like, you can do it at home.
when they made me, when I worked for one company, and they made me come back into the office and work the day shifts after working the night shift, I was like, all right, I'll come back in the day shift, but I'm cooking fish in there every day. And I would legitimately just go put fish in the microwave, turn it on, and then me and my buddy would just go down to the cafeteria and go get some food.
What a dick.
It's such a dick move.
Another proud parent moment.
You should be proud for that one. I'd be proud if my kid did that.
Sorry,
Either way,
Dad.
I want
Yeah, if Humphrey did that, it'd
That's
be
what happens
impressive because he's a dog. So.
But either way, I want to talk about marriage because I was looking this up, right? Because I am married, and I've been married for
Almost 12 years.
Yeah, we're coming up to 12 years here next week.
Next weekend.
And I think about our marriage, right, and how our wedding went. And it was probably a hell of a lot different than everyone else's wedding went.
Hold on.
It was
First
awesome.
of all,
It was
first
awesome.
of all, Jam, you are a brave woman. Fist pump. Okay.
So when me and Jam
Come
got
by.
married, we got so
That's why there's so much alcohol.
yeah, probably.
True.
It's the real reason.
So me and Jam are from Florida. Well, sort of. I'm kind of from Florida, but
I'm definitely Florida.
yeah, you are Colorado, and so we were going to get married in Florida, but things happened and we didn't, right? And then I joined the military and I had to leave, and before I could like get orders somewhere, or else they would have been like unaccompanied and I couldn't take my wife with me. We had to get married. So I was stationed at the time in Mississippi.
That was fun.
Yeah, sure. So to get married in Mississippi, by the way, you have to have a syphilis test.
Just a woman.
Yeah,
I
just
don't think you had to get one.
no. So the women,
Bullshit.
It's fine. It's fine if he has it.
I go to Florida. I go to my doctor. I'm like, I need a syphilis test. And they're like, are you having any symptoms? Are you having blah, blah, blah? I'm like, no. And they're like, why do you need a syphilis test? I want to get married. They're like, what? Yeah, I'm going to Mississippi. I need one.
yeah. So you have to have a syphilis test. It doesn't have like there's no requirement for it being negative. Like you just
Or
have
positive.
to have one.
You
yeah,
just got to
like,
have one for
you
the
just
health department.
have to have a syphilis test.
No, for real.
We just have to know. We don't actually care what you do with the information. Just,
So we couldn't. There's also like a 3-day wait or something like that for when you apply for a marriage license to
It was
actually.
5, wasn't it?
I don't remember, but so there was like some long ass wait or something like that. Plus, we couldn't find anyone to actually like do an emergency wedding, and then so we go to Alabama, Carrollton, Alabama. Any of our listeners from Carrollton, Alabama? Hi to
Holler.
yeah, all 4 of you out there in the whole town. So if you've never been to Carrollton, Alabama, the town is a roundabout. That's
it.
And there's a courthouse in the middle of it. And yeah, me and Jam got hitched in Alabama.
Yep. On the roundabout.
Yep, by the judge.
And then we went across the street to the little gas station restaurant.
Yeah, the only restaurant, the only place to get food there was the gas station.
It was good food, though.
Huge ass
It was
hospital.
all
It was
right.
good.
Like the hospital there was gigantic.
It's amazing. It's amazing. All those little, like, there's so many little towns in the South that just like, it's like nothing, like $8 billion hospital, nothing. Like you're like,
Yeah. So like our wedding cost us, I don't know, like what, $25 or something like that.
I don't know, we got to be put in a giant book, so that was.
Oh yeah, we're actually in a book somewhere. Somewhere in Carrollton,
if you're
Alabama.
if you're there visiting, go look us
It's
up.
on my marriage certificate, like what book we're on. Like I could actually pull it out and go find it if I ever went back there. But
Sure.
Tries they have books there.
But see, here's the biggest torture.
yeah, they haven't burned them yet.
Here's the biggest torture: is I had to drive this young man who's my younger brother's wonderful car.
Badass car.
Okay, it was fun driving car, but I had to drive it from Jacksonville, Florida to Jackson, Mississippi, and I went straight. I did not sit up straight for about 3 days after that because that is the most uncomfortable automobile I've ever drove.
Yeah, but it was fast as fucking cool.
Well, because straight after the Alabama wedding, we went to
Jackson,
Mississippi.
We went back.
Mississippi.
We legitimately crossed the border to get married and then went back to Jackson, Mississippi and had a pseudo honeymoon, I guess. And, yeah, whatever.
Meh. Got to have sex. That's all that matters.
We did what everyone does in a hotel room. We boned.
Went to Howls and Mal's. That was a good place. If you're in Jackson, Mississippi, go to Howls and Mal's. It's really good.
Yeah.
Second best onion rings.
Colin and I drop
You
out.
used to be the first one, but now you're the second. I'm sorry.
Mama and Papa Grape went to a museum. Oh, with Nick.
Yeah.
Took Nick.
Yeah,
Went to the Blues Museum and
Yeah.
B.B. King Museum in Indianola. Well, they were having sex. So.
Hey, at least they gave us privacy.
We left.
Okay, you guys have sex. We're going to go learn stuff.
I made a mistake.
We're going to get some culture.
That morning, I knocked on his door, and he threw the door open and says, "You are interrupting sexy time. Go away." I was like,
why the fuck would you knock on the door, man?
I was like, you know what? Close the door.
You know what's
I'm
going to
out.
happen. Hey, these two people just got married. What do you think they're doing
I
today?
figured you guys did all that beforehand.
We could do it more than once.
I know.
Wrong.
What?
You're wrong.
You're wrong. You have no
you do
children to prove it, damn it. There is no proof of sex.
But anyway, our entire marriage, right, probably cost us, I don't know, like less than $100 maybe. I mean, like our rings.
Those were also really cheap.
Yeah, they were cheap
compared
too.
to most
You mean
people.
you mean the like
I bought them at
actual-
the Walmart.
Yeah, the actual like symbols of your marriage, not your entire marriage itself.
Notice we don't have rings anymore.
Yeah, and by the way, I don't wear a ring anymore. They
We
broke,
have
and I got
our-
a tattoo instead.
Yep.
And so, like, and then I was looking up, like, why do people get married, right? So I did some research on this, and only 30% of people get married for religious reasons, which I would have figured would be one of the highest, right? The top one they said it was like for love, and I was like, oh, you're adorable, sure, why not? But like, we all know why people get married, because like I could live with Jam for the rest of my life and not be married, but I'd pay way more money in taxes. So we got married.
Damn the tax man.
And like, I think that's hilarious. And then, you know, I was looking up all these wedding traditions and stuff like that. And I think the whole thing that brought this up is I was driving in my car, and I have a Spotify playlist that's like just a bunch of like pop songs that you probably forgot about. And one of them was Rude by the band Magic, right? The I'm gonna marry you anyway song.
Why you gotta be so rude?
Yeah, that song.
Don't
And
you know I'm human too?
yeah, and like I was laughing.
Brandon knows.
That was my jam.
And I was laughing.
I don't know why, but
That's a good song. I like it. Catchy as shit. But so I was listening to it, and I was like, you know, like, so weird that I would never ask someone's permission to marry somebody that I was gonna marry. Fuck you. I'm a goddamn adult. Like, I'm not asking you.
I'm an adult.
Yeah, I'm an adult. She's an
I eat
adult.
dessert for dinner. I'm an adult.
Yeah. It was the last time you had ice
What do
cream.
you mean dinner?
So
You mean every meal?
Eat that shit for breakfast, man. Nothing wakes you up like a giant rush of sugar.
So then that led me down this rabbit hole looking up like all these weird marriage traditions. And one of them that I never get, right, is just like the ring, the engagement ring, right? It's supposed to be 2 months of salary for the man, right? The man.
Holy shit, that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
I think
right.
It's supposed to be more than that. I think
No.
the rule was like like 4 months or something like that.
No, it's 2.
It's 2. It's 2. I looked it up.
Sorry,
And-
Brandon, you're wrong.
I mean, I'm not buying what you wanted a ring anyways. So it doesn't matter.
But so 2 months salary, right? So I looked this up, right? And if you make $60,000 a year, pretty average middle class income, you're expected to buy a $10,000 ring.
Fuck you.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
what?
So that is
That's a real nice down payment on a house.
Yeah, that is 1/6.
Not right now.
Yeah, well,
Not anymore.
Well, not in Scottsdale, Phoenix, Arizona.
No, not pretty much anywhere right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy. But that's 1/6
Unless you're
of
in
your
Carrollton, Alabama.
Yeah, I was just going to say Alabama.
But that's 1/6 of your pre-tax income, right? And pre-tax, right? And so you dive down deeper, right? How much taxes do you pay on $60,000 a year?
lot of money.
$60,000 a year, right? You're paying probably close to $8,000-9,000, right? So you're at $52,000 a year, and then you have to buy a $10,000 ring, right? And then how much do weddings cost? The average cost of a wedding is $10,000, or no, sorry, $20,000 is the average cost of a wedding. Holy shit!
My one of my best friends growing up, a couple years ago, got married. Spent about $20,000 on the wedding, and about 15 on the ring.
Jeez, man.
They got divorced 11 months.
Yeah, hold on, I'm getting to that, right? So.
Painful.
Per every 1,000 people, there are 6.9 marriages. Per every 1,000, there are 3.2 divorces. It's like a 52% chance that you're going to stay
That's
married.
about right. About 50-50, yeah.
Yeah, right. It's damn near
Yeah.
a 50-50 shot of you getting married. So you're going out there, and you're legitimately, they have wedding loans now. Like, if they're special interest
They have
rate.
loans for everything.
Yeah,
Like,
they have,
you can take out a loan to buy a dog.
That's true.
No shit, a fucking wedding loan.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the dog makes more sense. It's more permanent.
If you have to take out a loan to get a dog, you shouldn't have a dog because you probably can't
Or
pay
just
for
go
its
to the
upkeep.
Humane Society and get a. I mean,
Yeah,
I got
right.
an awesome dog.
If you
out
got
of
to
the
start
Humane
making
Society.
payments from a dog, you should probably just adopt one. But still, like, there's wedding loans. People are financing $20,000-$30,000 weddings, and then buying $10,000-$15,000 rings, and you legitimately have a 50% chance of any of that paying off.
Hey, when your 50% chance fails, they have divorce parties now. Go out there and book that today.
That doesn't even include the cost of the divorce, because by
Those
the
are my
way,
favorite parties.
getting a divorce is
You can also get a divorce loan.
I was gonna say, because getting a divorce is probably twice as expensive as getting married.
Yeah, lawyers are
Could
now
be.
She
involved.
gets
I mean,
half, so.
if you lose,
Yeah, and then
Yeah, it could be.
then they're taking half, and it just amazes me that people spend this much money on that shit.
I think what amazes me is people do it over and over again.
Oh yeah, and that's shit. What was it?
I'm on my fourth marriage.
Yeah,
You know,
people have
it's
I
great.
know people that have been married like 4 times, and they've had like giant ceremonies and
It's-
stuff each time.
40%. 40% of marriages are not the person, like, is someone's, at least one of them's second marriage.
Well, you get that bachelor and bachelorette party, the engagement party, and then you get all the gifts. So obviously, why wouldn't you do it again?
So everyone out there, if you're thinking about getting married to your significant other, just do a cheap wedding, man. Like, chances are,
You can use that money for so many things.
yeah, right? You could buy a house. Like, you could put a damn nice down payment on a house. You could
Take a 2-year vacation in Carrollton, Alabama.
yeah, right. You could
No, 2 years is too long, man.
and if you
I'm just talking about money wise.
yeah, and like if you think about what like if you guys really want to do something that's nice, like
You can buy a nice car.
get married at the Justice of the Peace, have a little party at your house, and then go on a trip somewhere.
No, I mean, but the problem is that a lot of people grow up with the whole thing in their mind. I mean, to you it makes common sense. To a lot of people, this is like something like the thing they've been dreaming of their entire lives.
Yeah, well, that's I mean, media and all that shit. They've propped up the wedding as
Well,
like
once again, it's that materialistic world that we live in.
yeah, they prop this wedding up like, oh my god, I have to get married, I have to have this fairy tale wedding and shit like that, and then
You don't need all the stuff.
Yeah, again,
But, I mean-
50-50. Like, if someone came up to me and said, hey, Matt, will you give me $20,000? There's a 50-50 shot that you might get anything back. I'm going to be like, no.
The odds are not good.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that, right? Like, I'll invest my money somewhere else, and it can grow like 2 or 3%.
What if there's a 60% chance?
Well, I think you spend all this money on the wedding, you're never going to get any of that back anyway.
Oh,
Even
that's
if the
true.
marriage is successful. It's
That's
not an
true.
investment. It's just money spent.
It's
Yeah,
a
right.
party.
Yeah, right.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. It depends too, like what path your marriage takes. Like if you spend all this money and then you immediately get pregnant and have a kid, then you're just adding more money on top of it because
Oh, yeah.
kids are
Those are expensive.
one of the most expensive things you could ever have.
Here's
Yeah.
the big question though is the reason marriage is a thing. If only was it you said 30% earlier?
30%
of religion.
get married for religious reasons.
Okay, so the vast majority of weddings are because the government is somehow stupidly involved in weddings.
Yeah, right.
'cause
because
they make
is
money
there a
off of
tax
it.
benefit
Yeah.
to weddings?
yeah,
Why
so
do I pay more taxes as a single man than another dude who doesn't?
Well, you have to go to the government and buy a license to get
Yeah.
married.
yeah,
That's
I mean
true. You
that's
know?
pretty much the
Yeah.
cost of.
It's just
So-
kind of gross. I
I
mean,
mean, it's mainly it's pretty much a tax break for like
it's
for
a tax break for
having
making more
kids.
humans.
Yeah, that's
and
all
making
it is.
more humans.
Well,
in a
you get
controlled
tax breaks for
environment.
kids too.
yeah,
we
you
don't get tax breaks because we
Yeah.
don't got none.
Yeah, I mean, I paid. Jesus, man, I paid shit tons of money.
Too
I
much
paid
money.
last year. I paid
All
more
the
money
money.
in taxes than a majority of the population made in salary.
I think then probably very close to what I made. In
Yeah,
salary.
probably.
Yeah.
Like,
It's kind of sad.
yeah, I paid.
I remember when you told me, I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, I paid a shit ton of money in taxes, and in the United States, we pay a shit ton of money in taxes, and we get no benefit from it.
and when tax
And I
day
still-
came, we didn't get a refund. We had to pay more.
Oh yeah, I owed money this year too.
Pay more than most, and then still had to pay.
I mean, at least Arizona gives you a little bit of a break.
state
if you,
does,
If you
yeah.
lived in a different, like if you lived in California,
Oh man,
you'd just be getting it from both ends.
my Connecticut, Rhode Island. So I used to live in Connecticut and work in Rhode Island, right? And they're supposed to have an agreement where any taxes you pay in one state, being the resident of another, because they're so close together, right? You can easily do that. You're supposed to like get it back, right? Yeah, sure. No, I never got any of that shit back.
Well, that's
Yeah,
something.
because you had to pay 2 states.
Yeah, I had to pay 2 state taxes, and I did not get all of my money back from one of them. Trust me. Like I got maybe like 80% back from one state, and then none back from another, and I was like, "This sucks."
It's funny that California is so bad that other states like when I moved out of California and I ended up working for Amazon. Like I was living in Washington, but I was working in Oregon, so I was paying Oregon state taxes, and Oregon gave me all of my state taxes back because they felt bad that I lived in California and paid California state taxes. And this is Oregon has like the 3rd highest state tax rate in the country. Like
think-
there's just still
I think
high.
what, number 1 is Maryland.
Hawaii.
Is it Hawaii?
One of the
I think it's Hawaii,
it's
then
not New
California, then Oregon.
No, New York actually doesn't have that ridiculous of a income tax rate. Every other tax there is ridiculously high.
No, it's just all the people that live outside of
Or
New York
just the
City get
city.
really pissed off because they have to pay for
Well, that
everything
makes
in the
sense
city.
because the city's like little, and then like
But,
the rest of it, like Buffalo's
yeah,
huge.
that's
Don't
every
they have,
state though.
Don't they have New York City taxes too?
Yes, they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If you
Yeah.
live
Well,
in
San
the
Francisco does,
city
too.
of
Yeah.
New York,
Yeah.
you're paying close to 70% taxes.
Yeah, which is
And
why like I mean that's what I mean like you said San Francisco like the Silicon
Yeah.
Valley has the same thing. That's why most
well,
of most people
Silicon Valley's dying.
that's why most like
why.
engineers and stuff that like they don't actually live in that or they live in like 5 of them to a house. Like
Oh yeah,
even though they're making like $250,000 a year, they
Well,
can't even afford to live there.
yeah. I got a job offer one time from a company that was based out of San Francisco, right? And it was like for a remote working job or something like that. But the job really, I would have sucked at it, right? I wouldn't have been good fit for it. But yeah, the amount they were gonna pay me was insane. And then I was like, oh yeah, you calculate how much
Cost
you
of
pay
living.
people by San Francisco. And I also would have had to travel to San Francisco a lot. And no,
I mean, it was amazing.
not
Like all the
bad.
stories of like these like engineers, like 10 years of experience, and like all these high degrees, and they're living in their vans out in the parking lot of Google
Crazy.
because they
Yeah,
can't,
right,
they can't afford to live anywhere. Like
One of the ones that's weird to me is where we live, right? I pay state income taxes here. I mean, I think we all do.
Nope.
And
I don't.
Lies
You
were
don't.
tax
yeah,
evasion.
well, okay, so I pay state income, but because I'm in a weird bracket, I'm in that weird in between bracket. I get it all back. So it's like, why even fucking charge me?
Oh, I usually
why
get most of
take
my
it out of
Arizona
my-
state
Yeah,
taxes.
the
back.
Arizona's
tax
that.
back.
If
Well,
you
it's
get
'cause it's-
fucked by the federal government, the Arizona's like, here's your money.
Yeah,
back.
But because I don't
any-
make a certain amount of
it's like-
money, I get it back.
it's
think
because
it's
they're
like-
using it as a loan. Like
Weird.
it's pretty much just
Yeah,
we take your money, we use it throughout the year, and then we give you some of it back.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
Like-
right.
but I get 100% of Arizona. It's strange. It's like, why bother even taking it from me?
We don't get much from it either. Like, we don't have good transit systems like
The
other
city's
European
too big
countries.
for that.
I
Well,
mean,
not
Phoe-
just the
Phoenix,
No,
Not
kiss
even
my
just the
ass.
city.
There are
I'm
big
talking
cities.
about
Out of
US.
you know how big Perth, Australia is? It's a pretty fucking big city, and their public transportation is kick ass.
I'm just talking about the U.S. in general. We have a shit transit system
Oh,
throughout
yeah.
the whole country.
Yeah,
it's
no,
because
we
it's
do.
We don't
because
got
we
good roads. We don't got good schools.
Or in-
it's
we
because it
have
doesn't
our
make
own
What are we
fucking
getting
cars.
for
it
this?
doesn't make sense to pay for it because people aren't going to frequent it enough to pay it
Yeah.
off. I mean, people in Europe, they use trains everywhere.
Yeah, no,
Like,
no.
sure, and
It's
that's-
it's because we spend like 40% of our budget every year on defense.
It's also a huge country, United States.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
no,
you
we're
know,
big, yeah.
it's
And we're
you
also,
know,
I mean, we're obsessed with our personal stuff. Like I
as
mean,
it should be.
yeah, they talk like they talk about car like when I was working for Northrop, like in California, like they kept telling like, hey, you should carpool, and everyone's like, no. Even there's people coming in from like the middle of LA, like
Well, and we have an average of 2.5. Well, it's so weird how the average is shit out, but it's like 2.5 cars per family.
Yeah.
So
Just
we
like
have
those 2.5 kids.
2.5 kids. Yeah,
We have
Got
this
half a kid.
weird, almost
terrifying
zero
country.
need for public transportation in this country, and it is a part of the fact that we are a very wealthy country. We have no necessary need for that.
Yeah, but
So it's really awkward when you try to force it in because there is a percentage of the population that does need it, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is there's still quite a large percentage of population that cannot afford a car. They
Well-
can't afford to drive to work or anything like that. And what do you do when you leave people in their area and you don't allow them to go to another area to work? You breed ghettos, and that's why we have ghettos in this country,
That's
because we
part of
don't
it.
have. I mean, you can look at every single country out there, and they've done studies and studies on this, that when transportation is available, poverty decreases.
True.
Because they are
To some
able to
degree.
go somewhere else, and they're able to work, and they are able to earn money, and that brings their economy up in their area. And you again, like, it happens all over the world. We just refuse to accept it here.
Well, the other problem was the cash for clunkers saying now you can't buy
That
an affordable
totally
car.
Oh,
fucked
yeah,
the
that-
automotive.
Now you got to buy
Yeah,
a
that screwed everything up.
$30,000 to $50,000 car that you can't
The
afford.
cheapest car out right now, if you want to buy a new car, the cheapest one you can buy is the Chevy Sonic, and it starts at
14,000.
Yeah, 13, 14, somewhere around
Yeah.
there. Right.
14.
And I remember when I was growing up, shit, you can get cars for under 10 grand, brand new cars for under 10 grand all
Here's
over
the
the place.
thing. One of the guys I'm working with is looking for a car. He just wants to buy one cash. The average cash car, what is considered a cash car, is
$8, $9 grand.
$8,000. My business, we don't have that just sitting in our banks because we're very blue collar people.
Yeah.
That's just what we are, and you're just not going to do that. So you're going to end up taking out a loan. So the average car payment is a 6-year loan.
Oh, they've been going past 6.
Now it is the average price of that loan is $400. Like my lovely little car, and I love my car, but it's an 8-year-old car, and I still pay close to $400 a month.
Yeah.
Because all the cheap cars got crunched.
for my little car, and I love that car. Freaking love that machine. But you know what? It is still an expensive. It's a big part of my expenses.
Yeah, I remember like one of the first cars I ever bought, right? With that, like I financed and I had to make payments on it. My payments were like $150 a month or something like that. And it wasn't a 72-month or an 84-month fucking loan. It was like a 36-month loan and shit like that, right? And that doesn't exist anymore.
I drove that car all the way to Mississippi, by the way.
It's a pretty good car. Once we fixed the, whole flywheel clutch problem.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Very uncomfortable car. I just want to add that all the way to
It had
Mississippi.
a cool name. Just kind of.
people thought it was something fancy because I put the Korean badges on it. It was a Hyundai.
Yeah, but in Korea, it's Tuscany.
With a 2.7 liter Chrysler motor.
Hey, it was a cool car.
Okay.
It got me all the trim in high school. It didn't.
Say, aren't you married to?
It got you one. It got you one of the trim in high school.
Well, considering I was driving before he was, because I'm older than Matt, I drove him everywhere, and I had a Chevy Colorado. Colorado.
You shouldn't own stuff you can't say.
We already went over this. You said that last back.
That's why, like, European cars, like I have a Volvo S60. It's very simple to say, S60.
I mean, Colorado is pretty simple to say.
Well, true, but
it's fun to have car names like Thunderbird and whatever, so they can sing about them later.
Was it?
Songs.
Mom was always.
You can't sing
would you
about
always
a
want to call a
number.
car, Mom? What would you always want to call a car? Is it Fortunata or something?
Oh, we were actually just talking about that on the way home.
Mom always wanted to have a car that was called the Fortune. I don't know what it means, but it was always sounded fancy as fuck to Mom, and that's what she wanted.
I could actually see that as a...
Yeah, a red sports car named Fortunata is what she said. Yeah.
Well, we wanted to do it off of cool sounding food names.
Yeah,
Get a
like-
whole company started. The chimichanga. And then you get the sports version, Mini Chimi Alfredo.
The big ass SUV is the lasagna.
The empanada. It would have been cool, man. The stroganoff. It would have been great.
What's the stroganoff? Like a
I don't
piece
know.
of shit that doesn't fucking run ever? It's the Russian car.
That's the Nick microwave dinner car.
Yeah, right.
That's the car you mass produce and send to like Belarus or some shit like that. Like,
Yeah.
That is the.
I mean, don't get me wrong, stroganoff's delicious, but fucking Russia sucks.
Any car company that's going to start doing food names. Be great.
Tesla, you need to just change your shit from numbers or what. What do they call the Teslas? I'm sorry.
Bottle whatever.
Okay, stop. Just call it food.
unless it's the truck, the Tesla
Make
Cybertruck.
the chimichanga.
Cybertruck, is that what they're calling it? Really?
I think it is. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
That thing is ugly.
It is.
I'm sorry. I mean, just because it's
Well,
electric
you're
doesn't mean it has
apologizing
to
to
look
me.
stupid.
It is ugly.
It's just stupid looking. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
that's-
probably practical and cool and all that, but it's stupid
You know,
looking.
It's different. That's all that matters.
I
It's
drive an
different.
electric car, and I love my electric car. It's my favorite car I've ever owned. I've owned fucking Porsches and Subaru STIs and shit like that.
But it
And
looks like a car.
yeah, I drive a Nissan Leaf, and it looks like a normal car, and that's why I bought it. I was not going to get some
Like the
jackass.
Arrow.
Yeah, like any of the weird, crazy, fucking weird
That
looking
has like
cars.
the futuristic look, and you're like, why?
Yeah, right. The like the old Nissan Leaf looked weird as
Because
shit.
it's cool.
It's really not.
I feel like you're in Tron.
But yeah, weddings.
Yeah, back to that. Kind of got
Sorry.
sidetracked.
So
That
look
happens
at
all
the
the time.
giant
It's
common.
limos. It's part of
We
cars.
started out with weddings. Now we're at Tron.
That's normal. But yeah, weddings. Really expensive and 50-50 shot of working out.
It was really a business deal between most people back in the day, between countries.
Yeah, well, that's
between farmland.
it was between.
Here's a bunch of sheep. You're going to inherit all this dowry.
Yeah, well, that's what
Yeah,
dowries,
dowries,
are for.
yeah.
And back in the day, Lord whatever and Lord whatever would get together, and it'd just be a political thing, and like you were destined to marry that person, whether or not you. I mean, chances are everyone back then was fucking inbred anyway, so. They were not
Well,
attractive.
especially royalty.
Yeah, like the Habsburgs. Jesus, look at any portrait of the Habsburgs, and yeah, underbites are a trait of inbreeding.
It was to bring countries together.
Yeah.
The King of England married King of Spain, or the Queen of Spain, not the King of Spain. But
Yeah, that wasn't
I
allowed
don't-
back then.
yeah. I mean, it happened quite a bit in secret, but not.
How progressive of you.
I live in a modern age.
This isn't Hamilton, okay?
Yeah, no, it's funny
Are you
though.
sure?
If you look at like medieval history, like I think the king of Portugal and the king of Germany were cousins or something like that. Like everyone was related to everybody.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
I
it
think-
doesn't
I think,
matter
like,
because it didn't stop them from fighting anyhow.
I think like most of the British monarchy, like they were all related to each other. It's not like even when they were like because they would just send them off like randomly off to other countries, and then they would offspring, and they'd come back and marry
they're-
the other
I
offspring.
think they're actually of German ancestry.
Oh yeah,
I think,
yeah. I think most recently they're
Yeah.
You know, like I always joke about like why do we care about the royal family, or why does anyone care about the royal family? But like every time, like when Prince Charles died, or when Prince Philip died, I was digging deep into it, and it's pretty
showed
amazing
that
to
dude
me.
so much when he died. They were just like he was shitting on him so hard.
You know, was he a fake title, right? Like, does a king or queen have anything now? No, but I gotta give it to
They're
the guy,
just
man.
figureheads,
He was a decorated World War II veteran. Like the dude did some shit, and
no, they were it's like usual. They bash everyone for the comments they've made.
oh yeah.
Because
Comments I made 20 years ago.
surprised that some like 90-something-year-old fucking British monarch is
a little racist.
is like racist and and sexist and
But yeah,
surprise.
He was actually exiled out of his own country, right? Because he was Greek, and he was exiled out of Greece, like shortly after he was born, and actually grew up in France, and then commanded some part of the British Army during World War II, because at the time France didn't have an army. It was a Free French army because France was occupied, and so he commanded some stuff in World War II for the Brits and in Greece, I believe. Yeah, because it was in the Mediterranean battles. And yeah, he did a lot of like really awesome shit. And I thought that was super cool, right? And that led me down to this whole train. But like legitimately, how far back you can track the royal family of England, it's like really far. And that amazes me, right? Because I mean, we can't track our family back past your grandfather? Yeah, like
I can't go past my grandparents.
yeah, right. Like the fact that I have no idea where my family.
Ours all because they changed the spelling of the name.
They changed the spelling of the name, and on my mother's side of the family, my grandfather was adopted.
Yeah,
and we can't figure out who his parents were.
Yeah.
So
it's dead. Yeah,
it's dead. You know, it's a dead end. I mean, we could if somebody was to take a lot of time, but.
Yeah, I mean, chance of what are the odds the records were kept then or anything like that, right?
Oh, my mom never knew her dad.
Yeah, right.
And her mom went to the grave with us, so she never found out.
Yeah,
I don't know who my grandpa
the
is.
closest you can get most of the time nowadays is just DNA history. Like, I mean, you can know your through your DNA where you came from, but you have no specifics.
Yeah, and that's crazy that there's a family out there that can track themselves back to like early.
Forever.
Yeah, like so far back, and like. I don't know. To me, it's just surprising, and I hear about people too that like track their family back to like the 1400s and shit like that.
That's a lot of work, though.
Yeah, it is. But I'm like, man.
Yeah, I have a good friend who tracked his family back to Ireland, and they came over in the 1700s or something, you know, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, but he spent a lot of time doing that. I mean, it was hard work.
I was reminded this reminded me of something. I don't know if anybody here, probably three of us have seen Bull Durham. There's a part where she's
That's a great movie. You should watch it.
You should. Everybody should.
Great, so you're going to pick that as one of Nick's choices,
That's one of
right?
those. But I was watching it just the other day, and there's a part where Susan Sarandon's sitting on the counter, and she's talking to Kevin Costner's character. And they say, she's talking about, you know, where she was probably Attila the Hun, I think, in another life. And he just says, why does everybody have to be somebody famous in another life? Why can't you just be Joe Schmo? And it's true. It's the Joe Schmo life, because the vast majority of our ancestry is Joe Schmoes, a bunch of Joe Schmoes. Yeah. We have no fucking clue.
It's like when everyone's like, I was born in the wrong era. Okay, let me tell you about fucking Victorian England, right?
Yeah.
Chances are you were a serf, working for a lord, making zero money, and treated like shit, and you died at the age of 27 from some random ass disease that now we could prevent. You
should watch the BBC made. It was called Weird History, I think it was, and it was. I think it started out as supposed to be a kid show, but it was not. But yeah, I mean, just this like the stuff they show, like I mean, food through history that like poor people ate, and like. You know, medical stuff through history. People
in like that's in England, like some parts of medieval England and stuff like that. They used to eat sawdust because they didn't have anything to eat. That's what they sustained themselves on. Yeah, you don't want to live there.
Like, a lot of people even today.
Microwave macaroni and cheese.
way worse.
A lot of people today, even in Africa and stuff, they're eating like mud chips and stuff.
Yeah, right.
I've seen that.
There's still like absolute poverty, and I mean, we talk about poverty here. It is not the same as poverty other places.
No, that's. Like, I mean, it's class. I think it's classified. I forgot the government's call it. It's like hyper poverty or something like that.
I think it's like
hyper
abject
poverty.
poverty.
It's like It's I mean, that's what like when China was like, it's like, oh yeah, we got rid of extreme poverty, and they're like, okay, how'd you do that? We just lowered the rate.
Yeah, right. They just lowered
or they just
like instead of $2,000 a year, and it's now $500. Everyone's not extremely poor anymore.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I mean, I've been to some countries that you see a side of poverty that you you don't get here in America.
Poorest place I've ever been is Mombasa, Kenya. Yeah, and I was glad to be an American when I stepped foot on that place. It was unbelievable. I mean,
and
you have no idea.
At least here, when you're poor, like there's a chance that you could, recover.
Right. Well,
if you're places like India, like if you're poor and you're not in the right caste,
when I went
you have no chance.
When I went to India, we stopped in Chennai, India, and I saw a side of poverty there that I had never seen before. And like even the homeless people in the United States have it better than the non-homeless people in Chennai, India. Like,
I mean, they won't even there's certain classes of people that aren't even allowed to touch upper classes of people.
Yeah,
physically, like you can be like imprisoned for touching.
Yeah, well, they have their caste system. That's a weird.
Yeah,
that's thing anyway.
That's a whole nother episode.
Topic.
One of those jokes like Bill Burr was talking about. He did something. He went to visit India, and he's talking about the saddest thing he'd ever seen because he hears all these Americans complaining that everything is so rough here in America. And he says, I watched a kid take a dump in between two cars, sit up without wiping, just let his little dress thing fall down, and then he disappeared into the crowd. He says it was the saddest fucking thing I have ever seen in my life.
The first thing I saw of Chennai, India, when we were pulling in was it was 3 kids on the pier, right? So we anchored out pretty far. I was on the carrier at the time, so we anchored out pretty far out, and we took these little boats in. And it was when we took these boats in, first some weird bug that I have never seen landed on my arm, and I thought I was going to die. And then when we finally get up to the pier, all we see is it's one kid just taking a dump off the side of the pier, pants pulled down, taking a shit into the water, and then another kid right next to him pulling up a bucket of water and then washing himself with it. Like at the same time. And I was like,
it's fucking sad.
Yeah, I was like, man, wow. This is something else.
No, I mean that's like every time I start complaining too much about like this and that, I'm just like, I mean,
wait a minute.
Yeah, I mean, my life has been amazing from the start compared to most people in the world.
Got a house, a roof over your head, clean water.
Yeah, if you can.
I mean,
if you have clean drinking water and a place to call home, you're doing better than
some other countries.
Yeah, a lot of the population out there.
You know, weirdly, I was reading statistics about what we consider abject poverty, and again, China kind of fucks with the numbers because it's really hard. That in Russia, right? They have a lot of hard time. We can't really tell what's the truth between them and then North Korea. Everybody's poor in North Korea but one man. But one of the things it's a number that we don't celebrate is 95% of the world is not in abject poverty anymore.
Yeah, we've changed that quite a bit.
5% of the world is, and it is still terrible. I'm not saying it's great, but it's a weird thing that we're not looking at that 5% going, what's going on in those areas.
Oh, we know what's going on in those areas.
We're shitting on the areas where everybody is making money and doing amazing, and 95% of the world is doing great, but we're kind of shitting on them instead of
Live Aid and Live 8. They solved all the world's problems.
But we know
it's not that. It's
we know exactly
story.
We know exactly. You look at every impoverished country or people who are living in absolute poverty, right? We know exactly what it is. It's dictatorships. Mm-hmm. Every single time, right? You got North Korea. Everyone lives in poverty there, except for the rare elites. And I actually read an article the other day that the elites are starting to sell like furniture in their homes because they don't have money for food. Because North Korea shut down entirely, and they even shut their border along China, and that's where they get absolutely everything from. So, these North Korean elites and stuff like that, they're having to sell off their possessions just to buy food for themselves. So, yeah, but who runs North Korea?
I say, who are they selling them to?
China. But, who runs North Korea? Yeah, a fucking dickhead dictator. And then you look at, sub-Saharan Africa and stuff like that. That whole place is ran by warlords, like legitimately still warlords and stuff like that. Dictatorships are fucking bad, man. You don't want them.
No.
For sure.
Trump was wrong.
Just like dictator parents.
Let's not go there.
I'll go there.
I will get angry.
We can just say Steven Seagal was wrong.
He is too.
Hanging out with Maduro.
One of the places I want to visit more than any fucking other place in the world is I want to go to Russia during Christmas. I want to go to Moscow during Christmas time because God, that place is fucking beautiful. But I have a really hard time justifying being able to go there. And, would I love to go there and spend money and support these people out there? Yeah, but I know most of that money is going to fucking Putin.
Yeah. Oh, that's the process to go there as an American is insane.
Oh, yeah, it's a giant... I legitimately have to mail my passport out to Russia so they can attach a visa to it and then mail it back to me.
And they're really just stealing your identity. Russia and China are kind of in the same area with me. And we heard about my rant last week on that, so let's not let me rant anymore.
They already stole it through the aging app.
Oh, fucking.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, if you're using that, let's see what I look like when I'm older app.
Oh, that.
It's from my app.
Let's make an app.
People are suckers.
Oh, my God.
Social engineering is like the number one cause of like every data breach.
I was at an IT conference one time, and there was a woman there, and she was like, I bet you I can get access to your phone records, right? I can get into your cell phone stuff. And I was like, everyone there's like, bullshit, right? And so she loads up her laptop and she plays just audio of a baby crying over a laptop, and she's on the phone, and she's just frantically talking to these people. And she's like, I don't know why this is happening. Like, my phone's not working. I can't reach my husband or anything like that. I don't remember my password. And they absolutely gave her everything.
It's like the OnStar thing.
Yeah, and
this is OnStar. Oh, I'm in an accident. I need help. Blah blah blah. Can I start my
Die
car?
Hard? Yeah. And it worked just like that. And she did it, and everyone was just like, "Holy shit!" Social engineering is crazy.
It's not even that hard, because even at the county, when I worked at the county, I could get any information I wanted. Those public records, fuck it.
Just look at people on Facebook. It's like, oh, someone just posts something like, oh, your porn name is your date of birth.
Oh yeah.
Plus your, the street you were born on, plus your phone number, and it's like, and people are just like, my porn name is blah blah blah, and it's like, all right, that's just going in a fucking data bank somewhere.
Yeah. My favorite was
stole your credit card.
I saw some guy post a thing, right, and it was like some ad or something like that, and he was like, I'm really interested. Can you call me? And then put his number in there. And I was like, or put his email. It was his email. He was like, yeah, send me an email at whatever. And it was just like his name at gmail.com or something like that. And I was like, you poor bastard. That email is gone.
Well, you even do that with CEOs and stuff, because it's really easy to find their email.
Oh, yeah. If you ever have a problem with a company and you need to talk to their CEO, 90% of the time, it's first name dot last name at company.com. Mm-hmm. Seriously, I've gotten to so many people just by looking up who their current CEO is and then putting that in there. And then all your problems get solved, by the way, if you fucking email the CEO. If you have issues with a company and you hit their CEO, the only company that didn't do that, and I will absolutely dime these fuckers out, is Sleep Number, because fuck them. And you still owe me $6,000, and maybe one day I'll get back to that. But they I
guess I have the title of the episode now. Fuck you, Sleep Number.
Fuck you, Sleep Number. but I did that with Sprint one time, because I was about to go on deployment, and I needed a new phone because my phone was busted, but I wasn't in time. I was 4 days early for an upgrade, and they wouldn't upgrade my phone. So I emailed the CEO, and the next day they were like, upgrade his phone now.
And you also got discounts on the cars too.
Oh yeah. I emailed the CEO of a car company. I will not note the name. And I was just like, hey man, I like your cars. They're pretty cool. And he was like, cool. Next time you go buy a car, let me know, and I'll give you corporate discounts on it. So
which, by the way, is better than the dealership employee discount.
Of course it is. It's corporate.
Far better.
It's fucking retardedly
Anything
good.
corporate has is
I'm
better
sorry.
than anything any other employee has.
Instant service.
Yeah, and
But also,
man.
also corporate people are very bad at security. Like,
Oh yeah, but like when I went into that dealership, they were fluffing me like I was someone important. It was hilarious. They were like, "Oh my god, how do you know him?" And I was like, "I don't. I just sent the dude an email." I'm like, "How do you know his email address?" And I was like, "It was first name dot last name at carcompany.com." Like, it ain't hard, man. Work in IT long enough, you can figure out the trends. And if that don't work, you could just like CC first initial last name or something like that. Like,
no, I mean, and then like going at the securities of like, I mean, people would be terrified how bad that people that hold power and hold all your information are at security.
God, yeah.
Like HR,
Absolutely.
legal, and corporate are all awful.
We've-
And every company I've ever worked at, they're all awful. At
Yeah,
security.
we have to my favorite team. Every time we do like phishing emails and stuff like that, and the team that always ranked the highest was executive and legal. And they're like, they clicked on every damn email, and I'm like,
Yeah, and their
Come
excuse is like, oh, we get emails all the time from people outside of the company. We're like, yeah, that doesn't mean you should just click on everything you get.
My HR, I had an issue. I have we have an on. It's an app, so we know what we're getting paid. I forgot my password. It happens because I just use my fingerprint, right? Eventually, you forget the password. So I was like, oh shit, I gotta re-enter it. Oh no, I'm just gonna reset it.
use a password manager.
I do have one, but whatever.
Fucking use it.
So I just sent him an email. Hey, I'm Nick at such and such, at wherever, and here's my email address, and here's my name, and I just need to reset my password. They not only reset it, they sent me a link to where I can put the password in, and I'm like, oh, that's fucking scary, because what if it was just some dude who used my email address, sent it out
No,
to
that
these
happens all the
people,
time.
and they resent it.
One company I worked at, we requested access to one of their, like they just acquired another company, right? And we requested access to some of their cloud storage stuff so we can do security assessments on it. And they legitimately sent me in the same damn email my username and password. And they're like, yeah, by the way, this is an admin, like a global admin account to this entire cloud platform. And I'm like, did you really just fucking send that to me in an email? Like, holy shit, you guys are terrible. But
Yep.
yeah.
And that was just one of many infractions.
Yeah. That was a bad time. But yeah. Again, marriage.
No.
No.
Wait, we should be at parenting by now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
shitty parenting.
I mean, we have a parent here, the only parent here, because the rest of us said, no, fuck that noise.
Yeah, no, absolutely
What
not.
are you talking
But
about?
we're glad that he
got-
did, because, we're here.
I mean, if my dad was here, it'd be terrifying because it'd be like the fucking ghost.
That's a good point.
Zombie
Like,
dad.
oh shit!
Be
we
like,
got
very
pets.
sad.
They're the same thing. Pet parents. No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah,
No.
so
It's weirdly
It's not the same.
just
It's-
after losing a dog, like the pain I went through, and my buddy who has 2 children, he called me like every day to make sure I was all right for like 2 weeks,
I mean, I'm not
because he was like,
I'm not saying it's not an emotional like.
I'm like,
attachment,
it's
but
not the
it's
same,
not a
John.
kid.
Why are you worried? He goes, Nick, I'm watching you, and it honestly, I see what you're going through. And if I were to lose one of my boys, I think I'd be in the same boat as
Yeah.
Well,
you
it
were.
releases.
think when you lose a-
it highlights the same. They've done studies, and it highlights.
But I don't
the
think it
same
does it as long.
brains.
yeah,
as
I think
a child.
I think if you were to lose a child, you'd be like,
It would be
like
way
that'd
worse.
fuck you up for a long time.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, I
long
know.
time.
My
Like-
grandma's fucked up, and
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
yeah, because
and it-
you're
She
one of your
wa-
aunts
she
died.
lost
Yeah,
a child.
and losing a child
At a young age.
also affects other parts here. Like, I mean,
That's
like
true.
you lose a dog, like you have the sadness, but like you lose a child,
Yeah.
normally your marriage is gonna crumble.
That's true.
Like, because marriages
Like-
usually don't stay through the loss of a child.
Yeah, it's like there's a similar, but then there's a difference, right?
Yeah,
It's-
yeah.
There's the similar, the short-term pain is very much the same. It's the long-term pain that we're thinking. Like, now I have Milo, and my life is much better, right?
Yeah, right.
But that was, what, 3-4 months? Maybe 5 months
Yeah,
later?
and even if you
I'm
pump out
pretty
another
sure you
kid,
can't-
right?
you
Like,
can't replace that other
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah, it's not
you
the
the
cannot
same.
replace a child. That's
And-
still another human
Oh, and you're gonna
being,
just be thinking too about like you're going to be super overprotective if you have another kid.
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
I mean, depending on
Put 'em in
exactly
a
how the
bubble.
kid, like exactly what happened.
But
like,
parents are not, because they were way stricter with me than they were with him. That's beside the point.
I think that's
Just
all
kidding.
I
firstborns.
don't know about that.
I think
Is
that's
that
all
true?
firstborns.
Certain areas.
I think all children think that.
Probably.
I think it's
in
just
my
a
own
perception.
I don't know.
I'm
maybe.
the older one. It
I
is
think they
what it
always
is.
think that they had it worse.
So
I mean, I don't know. I'm a single child, so single child of dual military parents.
makes so much sense now. So no,
I should be a giant spoiled brat. Like,
there was an article that came out last week, and there was some guy somewhere, right? He was being chased by the police, and got out of his car, picked up his 2-month-old baby, and fucking chucked him at the cops
Oh yeah, I saw that.
to get away, right? And I'm like, holy shit! Like,
That's
okay.
bad parenting.
Yeah, right.
after being in a car chase with your child.
Yeah, let's just not even focus on that part. Like the fact that you threw your kid at the cops, but like, yeah, the fact that you had a child in the car while you were in a chase with the police. And then I was like, man, what the fuck is wrong with people? And like, I think about it, right? And there's so many kids out there for adoption, right?
Oh
For
yeah.
sure.
So many kids need homes and stuff. And then you got these, and like, if you were ever to adopt a kid, I mean, it's a pain in the ass. It is a big problem. I've known people that have adopted children, and it is a process. It costs a lot of money, and it's difficult to do.
It's much easier to make one than to adopt.
Yeah,
Oh,
right?
It's
Like-
that's a thing you can have an equivalency with dogs right now. Like going through a shelter is like a pain in the ass to try to get they can give you a dog, but you can go to a breeder and just be like, I want a dog, and they're like, here's a dog.
Yeah.
Like, where are you gonna keep it?
Yeah, I had to
I don't
fill
know.
out applications and stuff to get Milo.
Yeah,
right?
they gotta
had
do,
to
like,
make sure I was a
background checks.
decent
Yeah.
human being. I'm like, really? I'm adopting a dog. I mean, I love my dog, and I would love, and you guys all know how I am with him, and I mean, he's my boy. But at the end of the day, it's a fucking dog.
And, yeah, but like people go through so many checks and stuff to be considered. And I'm not saying that we need to like verify every single person that has a kid, but man, we let people have kids way too much. It is way
The
too
Duggars.
It is way too easy for us to reproduce.
One of
And-
my favorite was a comedian was talking about the Duggars, and he says the only thing that guy does better than anything is promote himself and make other Duggars, because he has like 30 kids or some shit like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, people who are having kids don't get background checks, but then you're like, sorry, you can't adopt this kid that doesn't have a home.
This kid that doesn't have a home and like really needs someone. And it also kind of bothers me that so many people have kids, because having a kid, like, if you
It's
have
that tax benefit, man.
well, no, you still get the
There's
tax
that.
benefit if you adopt a child, right? But like, what I don't understand, and you know, I'm not a parent, right? So I'll never understand this.
Sure.
But it's the fact that like, am I somehow superior to an adopted child because I was born from my parents?
Yes.
No.
I don't think so, right? And like, I know that humans were animals, right? We try to think we're not. We try to think we're better than them, but we're animals, and animals need to procreate. That's legitimately our sole purpose in life is to procreate.
And once you stop being able to procreate, that's when you start dying.
Yeah, but now modern medicine, we've prevented that enough
Sure.
to where we don't need to. But
We've actually made it so that people that naturally shouldn't have children can have children.
yeah, pretty much. And we've
Science.
extended our lives so long that we're going to be facing overpopulation problems and stuff like that coming soon. But like,
Coming soon. I think we're already at that point.
probably. But I still think about it, right?
Soylent
And like,
Green.
if I ever had a child, I wouldn't have my own, right? I would adopt a child because there are so many kids out there that need homes. Why would I bring my own into it? And
And I don't have to wreck my body. So
also true.
I'm gonna adopt like a 15-year-old like little like jacked kid, make him play football.
But yeah, it amazes me, and I think having children is like the weirdest form of narcissism you could possibly have. You're like, I want something that's like me, but small.
well, and then they put all the pressure on you, and they want you to. They live through you mostly.
Yeah.
Not all parents.
Well, it's just
You're
like
a
the
good one. So
Yeah, we're talking about
Thank
shitty
you.
parents, but my dad is actually a great guy. So is my mom. I'm
no,
grateful over there.
and Matt and I were lucky. We have very, very good parents. Trust
For
me,
sure.
we have amazing parents, and we love them very much.
I
It
love
made me
my
cry.
in-laws.
But we do, we do.
We have the next episode. They're gonna be like, now that my dad's not here.
Fuck that guy.
No, it's 100% true. But there's things where people are having children who shouldn't have children. And it's so easy, right?
Well, it's-
Because we are designed.
It's really
Look,
easy to have a child.
Having sex
Yeah, it's easy
feels
enough it
amazing
happens by accident.
for a reason.
Yes.
Sex feels good for a reason because we want to do it all the time. In doing so, you have people who should not be having children because contraception is hard, right?
It's
It's
not.
much
Well, you get
easier to have
berated.
sex
You get
than it is
berated
to-
for that too.
Yeah, and
It's true.
and then
No, it's
let's-
true.
I mean, I can get into this all day, and I
Yeah.
fucking will get into it all day. Religion does not help that
Does
at
not
all.
well because religion was built around when the population was lower and they needed to keep their numbers up. The reason why Christianity or Catholicism mainly is against birth control is because they
okay.
did not want us. They wanted these huge, massive families like what our mom came from, right? She came from a family of what
20,
is it, 20?
21?
Mom?
Mom would have had 20.
Yeah.
That's too much.
So our little grandmother, who was much smaller than Jam. Those of you who watched our beer video see that Jam is
Oh,
a
yeah.
By the
small
way,
woman.
I am 5 foot tall.
Yeah, she was like
122
4'9",
pounds.
maybe.
Yeah, I think Grandma was like
Little
4'9" or
tiny
something.
lady.
Tiny little French lady.
In this corner, standing 5 foot tall.
122 pounds. Their
Jan-
grandma's smaller than I am.
Yeah, she's a tiny, tiny lady. Had 20 children because in the Catholic Church, and she was very religious, was against contraception.
Yeah, you couldn't.
Because they wanted to grow the
Well, okay.
numbers and keep the coffers full. Because
Yeah.
they made a shit. The richest religion in the world is Catholics, and there's a reason. Because they figured that shit out
well,
a
yeah,
long time
and
ago.
now they also put out that like you have to give. I mean, it's not new, but you have to give tithings, right? 10%.
10%. Yeah.
10%
Yeah, when I
of
was
your-
going to school, it was cheaper if you gave 10% to them. If we did
Yeah,
our
yeah.
tithings, our
Our
tuition,
tuition was less.
for Catholic
so
school
if you
was
gave them
cheaper.
money, you paid
if
less
you were
money.
not a Catholic and you went to one of the Catholic schools, you paid more money.
Well, like my mom and dad, you guys paid more for me because I refused to get confirmed. Right? I think you got a discount if you get like
Maybe. I don't remember.
yeah, and I was like, no, I'm not
That's
doing
possible.
that. And
What a dick.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry if I cost you more money or anything like
No,
that, but I wasn't going through that
You should
ceremonial
definitely
bullshit.
you should definitely pay that back now.
I'll send you the bill.
Yeah, we'll take a recheck on that one. How about an IOU?
Of course, I don't remember how much the bill was. But I have no idea. I don't
The rest of this episode, we will be tallying up all of Matt and Nick's charges.
Let's not do that.
Yeah, this is gonna take a turn for the worst. But
Nick's
yeah.
only got TV dinners. He can't afford it.
He only has
TV
one TV
dinners.
dinner.
TV dinners, one left. And I have 2 things of cranberry juice. That's it. We can't take any more.
But like you talk about, we talk about shitty parents like throwing their fucking babies at police and stuff like that. And by the way, it wasn't like a gentle toss of the baby. He like picked it up and chucked
Chuck
it
it.
at the cop.
Baseball throw.
To try to stop him. And it,
I mean, just imagine if you were that cop though. Like you're
He
already,
caught it.
like you're already in like the middle of a
chase?
chase. Like you're already like
Oh,
adrenaline
adrenaline's
flowing, and all of a
going,
sudden
yeah.
you're like, is it a fucking baby?
Do I catch it like a football or a baseball?
he caught the baby though. The baby's perfectly fine.
Yeah,
shout
just
out
wait,
to
just
that
wait
guy,
until it
'cause-
gets older though, and it watches that shit.
yeah,
You're like, hey, you're on YouTube. What? You were thrown as a child like a football by your dad trying to get away.
yeah. But and then you have these people out there who you have the exact opposite, right? You have these helicopter parents, and I mean that probably started with Nick's generation, I would say. I mean, most of the helicopter parents I know are probably around your age.
Yeah, well, okay. My generation was the first parents that would... Dad was weird because Dad and I played video games together. That's a rare thing for a...
Yeah, it is. For a baby boomer.
A baby boomer and his child to do that. That wasn't a common thing. It's more common for my generation to sit down and play video games with their kids, right? Like my very good friend, probably my best friend. He's like another brother to Matt. He plays video games with his kids all the time. but he's also my age, right? So that's different.
I don't think he's probably not a helicopter parent though.
He's not at all.
Yeah,
no,
like,
not at all.
I know
his
him.
wife's an Aussie, and they don't like. She is like this hands
I was
off.
gonna say I know that guy probably as long as I've known my brother.
Yeah, and but he's a great, and they're both great parents, and they do an amazing job. And they have great kids, but a lot of people my age are helicopter parents, like really bad, especially like Gen Xers and like I'm like early part millennial. They're very all over with their children.
It's not
They take their kids to school. There's kids who are in fucking high school and are getting rides to school by their parents because they're too scared to let them out of their
It's not a parenting style anymore. It's the law.
I have a
Like
story.
you can't even.
Oh no!
Here we go.
I went to the doctor the other day, a couple of weeks ago, to get a checkup so I could get eye surgery, and there was a kid in there who was probably, I call him a kid, but he was probably in his 20s. And you know, they give you the iPad thing to check in and all that. The kid couldn't do it. He went up to the counter like 5 or 6 times to ask the nurse or technician or whatever, what do I put here? Or what does this mean? And what does that mean? And I'm sitting there thinking, how old are you? And then he finally just said it. He said, my parents have always done this for me. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
I think that's one failure in our education system anyway, because we don't learn life skills. We don't know how to fill out forms.
You're absolutely right.
We don't know how to buy a house. We don't know how to balance our checkbooks. Actually, I learned to do that in middle school. I learned how to balance checkbook in library class. We had a library class. So we learned the Dewey Decimal System and how to do that. But most people don't.
Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell.
We don't know how to cook. We don't know how to clean. We can't sew things.
Yeah, but here's a
We don't
grown
know how
man
to balance stuff.
that can't check in at the doctor.
Yeah.
I was just amazed. I'm just sitting there going,
Yeah, no, it happens all
what
the time. And like honestly, I mean, I went to a Catholic high school, and how many life skills did I learn from my Catholic high school?
I mean, we did
Zero.
have
Right, like, I could-
one thing that had to do with filling out a job application.
Yeah. That was.
See, I had
It's like our English class.
It was
I
an
think.
English.
Yeah, it was like our English class. We had to
They
fill
were
out a
like,
job
fill out
application.
What was like a job application with Jesus or something?
I don't
No,
know.
it was legit job applications. We had to bring in a job application and fill it out.
I didn't do it because I already had a job, and I was like, I'm already working, dude.
Well, I was just like, they were like, fill in these references, but it can't be a family member or whatever, and it has to be other things. I was like, I don't have anyone. And they're like, well, you don't get the job. And I was like, well, I guess I die and someone else gets the job and they can eat. So,
Well, like
You
when
don't
I
get the
went to
job.
school-
I'm just gonna get married then.
When I went to school, I had home ec, right? And I had to take 3 years of that. So when I was in my high
3
school
years?
year, I actually had to take my freshman, sophomore, junior year. I had to take home ec. So I actually had to learn something. I still can't cook, but
we know.
We're working on that.
yeah.
Check
it
out
will
our
happen.
some of our videos coming up. You know, like and subscribe.
we're going to yell
But,
at Nick to
you're
cook
just gonna be
for us.
yelling
on
at
their
me.
OnlyPans channel.
But I had to learn basically like sewing a button on my pants, right?
Oh, dude, you would be amazed. Okay, so
Very few people know how to do that, and it's not hard. Like I can do it, and I'm borderline like
Inept.
bonehead most of
I
the
mean,
time.
it's not hard to do. I'm just not gonna do it.
well, no, like
Inept.
in boot camp, right? In boot camp, whenever a button would break on our pants or something like that, we would have to sew that button back on.
Yeah.
And you know, our in Navy we call them RDCs. They used to be called company commanders, probably back in Dad's time. And you know, like our RDCs would be like, you know, petty officer, a button on my pants broke, and he's like, fucking fix it. And we would have to bust out the sewing kit and fix our buttons. And you would be amazed at the amount of people that can't do it. And it is not a difficult thing to do, man.
Oh.
Out, in. Like, that's it.
Oh, when that was one of the classes I was actually looking forward to do in high school was home ec. I really wanted to do it. Our high school did not offer it.
No, our
So
high school.
therefore, I never learned to do anything home ec.
Our high school is probably geared more toward like a college prep.
It was 100%. I was legitimately the
Jesus.
second. I was legitimately the second.
We were actually less
graduating.
Jesus-y than other high school.
I don't.
Catholic
I
high
don't know
schools.
about that, but
I mean, like there's we had mass maybe like once a month. Other schools had it every week.
well, yeah. I mean, yeah. When I grew up, elementary school to middle school, we went to mass every Friday. But yeah, the high school we did maybe once a week. But I was looking forward
once
to
a
that
month.
class, and they didn't offer it. which
Yeah,
was a shame.
there was a lot of classes they didn't offer that I would love
Same
to
with
take.
government. I mean, we had economics and government, and it was half a year each.
Yeah, and you
In our
cannot, by the way,
senior
you
year-
cannot teach economics and government in half a year. Like, you could probably
Yes.
teach economics and government in like 6 years.
That should have been a mandatory class like throughout high school. We should have had government and fucking economics because those are very important.
Yeah.
And we didn't have it.
I mean, I would assume I think it's probably safe to say the reason our country's in the state that it is right now is because people don't know how it works.
And they don't pay attention to
Yeah,
it.
they have no idea how any of this works. And
Which they probably want anyway. Because
Yeah,
if you
well,
don't pay
yeah,
attention
absolutely.
and you're not educated, they can control you better.
it's like they're trying to
Yes.
they're trying to eliminate the filibuster right now, and I have mixed responses to eliminating the filibuster. I think it is an absolute waste of time. You know, you're just dicking around for no reason.
It's a great thing.
No, I
But-
think it's a great thing because the voters wanted a split government.
Yes.
And that's what they got. So
Hash it out.
why should
Figure-
one party with a one-person majority,
Yeah, right.
run everything? I think
I mean,
it's a good
I
thing.
do think it's very weird that our entire government hinges on some dude from West Virginia. Like,
One of the best things that I have ever seen. One of my favorite things was, I think it was Rand Paul.
Yeah, but
it
he's
was
turned
Rand.
into a jack.
Oh God,
Yes.
that guy.
But
I
you
used
had
to
Rand
respect
Paul,
him.
and there was another senator. I can't remember his name. This is when they were okay.
the dude from Ohio was awesome.
But
forget his name.
they
Call
started a
that one.
filibuster during when we wanted to give money to China.
Oh,
we were
yeah.
sending money to don't get me going to China.
When they did the nursery.
Yeah, and they just sat there and did nursery rhymes. One of them was a teacher, so he just read his
Well,
children's.
that's the way a filibuster is supposed to work, but this filibuster doesn't work that way. All they have to do is say, "I'm not voting for it," and go home and
yeah.
or go to the bar or whatever.
But
you
these
know? They don't
guys
have to
went-
stand up and
You know, go back to their
24
off.
hours, and eventually they said, "Look, we're gonna stop now." And they're like, "Okay," and they stopped. And then they did the vote when they weren't there, but it was still like I was like, "No, that's
a
how
real
it's done."
filibuster.
Yeah,
They
well,
like
that's
just
real.
had
And,
that show
yeah,
with
and
nursery
now,
rhymes.
now
and
all
shit.
the Congress and Senate and stuff, they just go back to their office, do a line of cocaine off their desk, and say it's good.
and then arrest those of us who do lines of cocaine off our desks.
Life's weird
It is.
and it's difficult. Don't be a shitty parent.
Sorry, we went on a tangent tonight.
Well, there was that parent that also, she was actually a pretty good parent. The one that
Oh, she went to.
dressed up like her
Yeah.
daughter to prove a point that she could pass for her daughter in the high schools to say, hey, you guys have shit security. I literally went to all her classes all day and no one said
She didn't really have to
anything.
prove that point. We already knew that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
American
still-
schools are fucked. Yeah, that's
Well,
actually a pretty accurate statement.
Yeah,
I mean, pretty much any place in America.
I am a
other than,
product
like,
of American public education, and when I went to college, I had to relearn how to do everything.
I think. Well, I mean, again, we can get into this all day, but I think public education is a good thing. We just do it wrong here.
I think if you can't expect a government, or you can't expect the people of free thinkers
I mean, you
to
have,
be educated by
I mean,
a government.
look,
It's just not.
I
Gonna
mean,
work.
it's also dependent on where you grow up too. I mean, I went to a public school, but I also grew up in Virginia Beach. I grew up in a city that had 11 other high schools. I mean, we had tons of money flowing into our school. I mean, my education was just
we
fine.
spend more money on one student than most countries do on.
Yeah, but our
an
students still come out
entire educational
like
system,
goddamn
and
idiots.
We're still
Yeah.
stupid. I don't
Well,
think
we
it's the
also
money.
we also don't allow, like, we see a student going as like to a trade as a failure.
Oh yeah,
True.
yeah, absolutely.
That's the
Yeah,
thing.
that's-
Like,
That's a big problem.
that's a big problem. Yeah.
We view college in a weirdly high thing that we shouldn't.
Yeah, no. So originally, the idea of college is it was people that wanted to go above and beyond and study something, right, and seriously devote their life to it, right. That's what college used to be.
It was the building of philosophers.
Yeah, and it was the
That's what
building
a
of
PhD is.
a lot of things. Well, a PhD is legitimately a doctorate of philosophy, but we've turned college into something that's
Turned it into high school. part
damn
two.
near. Yeah, it's damn near mandatory.
yeah, that's because it's
Yeah.
a business.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
if you can literally control the entire population and convince them that this is the only way to go and the only way to make it in life, I mean, that's the best business you could ever think of.
And the government's complicit in that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
well,
With
yeah,
the
and the government.
subsidies.
Yeah, by the subsidizing colleges, right? Would college be a hell of a lot cheaper if the government got out of it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, like, look how much people pay. Well, I mean, the government is really involved in college over there, but they limit the amount people can pay, right? So you go to Europe and they say, no, colleges cannot charge more than this much money for tuition, but they don't really touch anything else with it. Whatever the college does is what the college does. Over here, we're just like, the college can charge whatever, and we'll just give you loans. We totally took the complete ass backwards response to
they're
everything.
They're going to charge the maximum just to get the government
Exactly.
subsidies.
Like when I went to college when I was in the military, like I would take classes on the tuition assistance program that the military gives me. Oddly, the tuition for every single class I took was the exact amount that tuition assistance
I was just going to bring that up. We've all used the GI Bill, I assume, all three of us.
Yeah.
And they raise the amount they're going to give you.
Yeah.
And the tuition goes up accordingly.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's the
The
exact
whole thing is stupid.
That's what I mean, I was going to go to, there was a culinary school here that I was going to go to, and just so happened that it was a 10-month program, and the exact cost of the program was the exact cost of what you get per year for the Chapter 33, not GI Bill.
Yeah.
Like exact to like the penny.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like when the government makes rules like that, and when they say, "Oh, we'll provide loans to that," or like, "Here's the maximum we're gonna pay," suddenly everything matches.
yeah. Oh, and then too. I mean, like 50% of, I think it is like 50% of bachelor's degrees can't get you really anywhere. Like, unless you're coming out with some kind of engineering or science degree, you can't do anything with it. You have to go get go get higher education, which costs even more money.
I went and got a bachelor's degree just so I could qualify to work under certain government contracts. They didn't care what the degree was.
Oh yeah,
you just had to have a degree. It
even,
didn't matter what
even
it was.
in our programming and even like you said, the engineering course now, you need a degree. Yeah. My company won't hire you unless you have that bachelor degree in science.
Yeah.
No, I mean when I was working for Secor, like we were doing a test. I mean, I worked on submarine stuff, like submarine combat systems. The government lady they sent down to oversee us had a degree in zoology.
Oh yeah.
Never been on a submarine before. Like, how does she have any idea what we're doing? Yeah. Like, no idea.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know pilots that had history degrees.
Oh yeah, I know a pilot that had music degree.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It was a vast difference because like I said, my company, you have to have a degree, but then when I worked for the government, none of them had degrees. None of them. They just did programming. Yeah. That's all they did. They had the experience.
Working for a government contractor, that degree is important because you
That's
don't qualify under certain labor categories. You can't work under that.
Yeah, the government will say, "Oh, you're in labor category, whatever. You have to have a bachelor's degree, or you have to
put these requirements."
And I mean, it is slowly changing, though. I mean, like especially like big tech is moving towards it a lot. Like with Amazon, like. There's a lot of jobs. I mean, like you said, well, your job requires you to have a bachelor's degree. Like you can go be a programmer at Amazon as long as you can pass their coding exam.
Oh, by the way, which is probably harder than going to college.
But I mean, even you don't have to like if you've gone to a boot camp. If you have, I mean, it doesn't matter what you've done. If you can pass the exam, they'll hire you.
Yeah, those coding interviews are the worst thing ever. I'm glad they're changing.
But I mean, they're starting to realize there's people that
some
have grown up.
Some people don't go under that pressure.
I mean, they're starting to realize there's people who have grown up doing this in their entire lives, though, like for fun. Like, and why are you going to force them to go get a piece of paper for 4 years to tell you that they can do something they already know how to do? Yeah.
Well, college has become I joke like a second high school, but
you're absolutely right.
It's become this thing. It's like, okay, I graduated in '99. And when I graduated, it was okay. You were considered a successful adult who went the path that I went, right? I went right into workforce. I do have some college. But I went right into the workforce. I got some education. I'm a smarter, I probably have more education than a lot of people in similar positions than I have, but I've been in it a long time. And now I'm considered like this just as average dude. But back when I was a kid, I would be considered a very successful man.
One of my favorite people, can I say a name? I mean, Mike
Sure.
Rowe.
Yeah.
Mike Rowe Works. That whole foundation where he's taking, putting money, raising money and putting money into getting kids to go learn how to be a mason, how to be a plumber, how to be a carpenter.
That's shit that we're still going to need. Like,
and we do, and there's a shortage of these people.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can make a hell of a lot of money doing that stuff.
Yeah, right. Like, trust me, I've called a plumber before. I know how much they goddamn cost.
Well, they earn it too.
Exactly. I don't want to dig around in my own shit.
No.
I mean, I grew up in Virginia Beach, like the Hampton Roads area, where they have all these shipyards and stuff. And like my high school, we had every college in the state came in with a visit and told us about like, oh, go to VCU, go to UVA, go to all these like high level colleges. There was a school like 20 miles away called the Apprentice School that literally you literally go there, they pay you money, like you learn a trade. Like some of them are pretty skilled trades. You get an associate's degree. And you get guaranteed work as long as you pass through the program.
Yeah, right. And
I had no idea it existed until I was in the Navy.
Yeah, and some of those jobs pay 6 figures.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can make a lot of money.
Draftsmen.
Yeah.
And,
And they had like
structural
naval architect. Like they had all kinds of stuff. Like,
yeah.
And it's
I used to work with a guy in Rhode Island who that's where he started. He started as a draftsman assistant. Right. He used to just help the draftsman with stuff, and then he learned the draftsman's trade and stuff like that. And like this guy used to build fucking submarines, made shit tons of money, and he didn't feel like doing it anymore, so he went into IT. But like that guy still had an incredibly successful career without going to college a single day in his life, and he was never in the military either. Like you can still make a living by not going to college.
Yeah, the problem is you have to chance into it. Like they don't promote it. Like it's something that should be promoted. Like it'd be like, hey, like do you like working with your hands? Do you not want to be in $800,000?
He's going out there and promoting that stuff.
Yeah, I have 2 kids who work with me. They're both in their early 20s, and they're amazing kids, and they both have families and stuff. They make over $100,000 a year, and they're mechanics.
Yep.
They just work their ass off because they've learned a skill, and it's
Yes.
hard work, and they work a lot of hours. But you know what? Those 2 men make a good living, and they're proud of their living, and they're great kids. They're 21 and I think 24 or something like that. But they make more money than a lot of people who've gone to college for 4 years.
Oh yeah.
If you're look, they make more money than a teacher, right? And teachers go to a lot of schooling.
Yeah, I mean,
and they
to be
spend
a high
lot
school
of money
teacher, I
on
think
the
you have to
skill.
have a bachelor's.
Yeah, you have
At
to bachelor's
least
and then
a
a teacher certification.
Yeah, and teacher certification.
So
right?
they have
have to be breathing.
They have high school diplomas, but they make more money than your average guy because they went and said, you know what? I'm good at working on cars.
Learned a skill.
Yeah.
and
they're damn good
I
mechanics.
made more money than a hell of a lot of people without a bachelor's degree. Right? I recently got my bachelor's degree, but I've been an engineer for 7 years.
Well, you learned a skill.
Yeah, I don't have a bachelor's degree.
Yeah, you don't have a bachelor's degree. Yeah, I know how much money you make.
My dad, he never went to school past.
He never even graduated high school, did he?
He might have. I think he did do high school, but I'm not sure.
I thought he did to join
I thought he
the
made it
Marines.
to like 11th.
But either
grade or
way,
something.
he went to apprenticeship under a master plumber, and so he didn't go to school. He didn't even go to trade school. Literally, just started doing
Just
plumbing
learn on the
under
job.
someone, and they learn on the
Yeah,
job.
apprenticeships. That's something we don't.
He became a
like,
master
used to be
plumber.
common.
Yeah.
Yep.
That used to be a
Yeah,
common.
I mean, other countries do apprenticeships for high tech stuff now.
Yeah.
Like
And
you
then-
can be a software engineer apprentice, and
Yeah.
like I mean, companies are realizing it's a lot easier to just snag a kid coming out of high school, and you get some
Teach
kind of
'em.
company loyalty
Teach
out of
them
it.
how to do
Yeah,
it.
you pay them not nearly as much as you have to pay, someone like me, and you get the same shit out of it at the end.
There's a lot of college-educated people working at Starbucks.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
Well,
And it's
they also
sad,
provide free
but at
college
the same
too,
time,
so.
we've turned college into this thing. Like,
Starbucks.
I'm going to go back into it, right?
Yeah, they have a pretty
But what am
robust
I-
college program.
Yeah. I'm going back into it because I want to learn something interesting.
Yeah, right. Like,
But outside of that, is it gonna make me a millionaire? No, it's just gonna provide me another avenue.
Maybe
in life.
like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. But it's gonna give me another avenue in life, right? And it's gonna show me something that's different. But at the end of the day, I'm doing it because I want to, not because I have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll wrap here.
Yeah, probably
We've been droning on for entirely way too long.
Sorry, everybody.
We'll say that, and I'll probably cut half this shit out. But we're going to end, of course, as we do with most of our episodes, with a Inspirobot quote. And Inspirobot today says, "You've always been a wise fuck, in a good way." Thanks. Have a good night.
Bye.